Hello everybody, my name is Joe Shelton and I'm a singer, songwriter, music producer, and recording artist from Indianapolis, Indiana. Over the last year, I've stepped out and performed music on over 200 stages. Along the way though, I met a lot of great people that I didn't expect to. They were inspiring artists and songwriters and musicians, and I want to share all of that inspiration with you. So that's what this show is about. Moonshine equals love, shine in love on the music. Moonshine and music starts now. Welcome to Moonshine and Music. We are here today with Matt Monta of Matt Monta and the Haymakers. Sometimes, I guess.
Yeah,
all the time. Sometimes.
I mean, it's always.
Sometimes it's just Matt Monta. Other times it's Matt Monta and the Haymakers.
But there will always get some form of Matt Monta.
Well, and who wouldn't want some form of Matt Monta? You know. But welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
I know you traveled in today, so that was nice. So we like to get to know the artists from the ground up.
Sure.
You know, where'd you grow up? What city were you from originally?
I grew up in Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton.
North of Dayton, Englewood, Clayton area, and music was always sort of part of the family. My dad would play Christmas carols on his guitar, and my sisters both were, you know, we all took piano lessons. My oldest sister was in show choir. My other sister played piano and wrote musicals and was in choir and all those kinds of things. So, you know, it was a nice, quiet little upbringing in Western Ohio.
So when you say your dad played Christmas carols, was this a year-round activity, or?
No, I mean, it was at Christmas time. Like he would.
Since we're filming at Christmas time.
Yeah, he'd bust out the guitar at Christmas time, and we'd start singing, you know, the 12 Days of Christmas, and that would eventually devolve into "Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys" and some Buddy Holly stuff too. So.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun.
So was that who he was into, or the, you know, what, Willie Nelson?
Yeah, I mean, my dad's got pretty good taste in music, so he, you know, we'd listen to Alabama and stuff like that, and then, you know, we'd listen to the Blues Brothers soundtrack.
Oh, I love the Blues Brothers soundtrack.
I love Rawhide. Was like my favorite song as a kid. I didn't understand why. I was like, I love this song.
Well, you know, Rawhide is one of those songs that I call a lifesaver. You know,
how's that?
Well, it saved their lives. They were liable to be completely killed or something if they didn't have something to play at
I think music in
Bob's
general,
Country Bunker.
And music in general saved their lives.
Yeah, true. You know, they were on a mission from God, so you know that's how it works.
And they defeated the Illinois Nazis.
Which, you know, who likes Illinois Nazis?
No one. No one.
But back to the interrogation. You growing up, he was into music. What did he do for a living? Was he?
He was an attorney.
An attorney.
Yeah.
Okay.
So both my parents were attorneys. My sisters both became lawyers, and I became a professional musician.
I see.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what they did, and you know, that's the end of that answer to that question.
Well, that seems less than exciting. No wonder they were into music on the side. They had to do something to relieve the stress. Right?
I mean, there's some pretty wild stories in working in the legal profession. It wasn't like they were just pushing papers. You know, my dad did criminal work, and he also did, you know, civil stuff, and so you know, there's a lot of interesting stories that he has to tell. He worked by himself, and what I've noticed is that, you know, he and I have in common sort of the entrepreneurial spirit of working for yourself. And, you know, he has his own office. He has to get clients. He has to send invoices and try to get paid and things like that. And he does stuff too that's for the community and tries to contribute and give back. And I'm not doing any technical legal work, but at the same time, a lot of the day-to-day grind is much like running your own business, as I'm sure you know, and your guests all know. It's a hustle, and you got to have some focus and be able to roll with the punches when the punches start getting real hard.
Well, I think people that aren't musicians don't quite get how much goes into it. They kind of think, you're singing around and then you just show up to perform, but it's not just even practicing your songs. It's all that other work that you're talking about there, right? You got to find places to play, book them. If you have a band, you have to get all those guys organized and get them there and get them at practice and
and get them to maybe play the songs you want them to play, or play them the way you want them to play them, and scheduling people and trying to get people to respond. I mean, it's not a well-oiled machine. I'll put it that way. It's a lot of persistence, and it's a lot of dedication and being willing to deal with all this stuff. But if you just have a day job and you're going to the open mic once a week, then it is kind of just show up and play your songs, and that's totally fine, and that's great, and that's awesome. But there's a lot that goes on behind the curtain of being a performer.
So when did you first start playing? I mean, you said you grew up with all of the folks in your family being kind of musical.
Yeah, I started writing Weird Al style parodies when I was a child. I would take popular songs and then just rewrite the lyrics. I thought Weird Al's incredible. I love Weird Al. Weird Al's great. Listen to Weird Al, kids. And
especially Amish Paradise. That one's killer.
Dare to Be Stupid is one of the greatest albums of all time. Don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. And, I decided I wanted to play guitar, and I started learning on my sister's guitar, which was like this little harmony, just this
one of those ones that it sounds like it's in a tunnel no matter what you do to it.
Yeah, but the thing was, I was like, man, it's so hard to play this, and it turns out the neck was broken. I didn't even know it. Like at the top it was like split like that, and I was like, oh, well, that would make sense as to why.
So the action was like half-inch high or something.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I could have been playing slide guitar, but then I was old enough that my dad's like, here, you can play my guitar, and so I started, teaching myself like REM songs, because that's what I was into at the time, and then additionally, my dad had this Roy Clark Big Note songbook, which had a lot of like folk songs, country songs in it that were easy to play along to and sing and things like that. So I started. There weren't a lot of places to perform. There weren't places like Books and Brews where they have open mics and places for younger people to perform. So I think I did like my high school talent show, and then when I got into college, I sort of started exploring things at Ohio State's campus and annoying my dorm mates, playing in my dorm room a lot.
Oh, so you went to Ohio State?
I did, yes.
What for?
Political science and economics.
I see. So does that background feed into your songwriting?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it does. It's being, you study any particular field and you start to understand the ins and outs of it. So being in political science and economics, I worked in campaigns. I worked in political campaigns. I worked for all kinds of things, and you see how the sausage is made. And so when someone comes on TV and they're like, "Oh, we've announced this new deal," to people who don't follow the process or understand the process, like, oh, they have this thing now, much like, oh, he just showed up with these songs,
right?
But like I see what goes on and like the patterns and how there's a cause and effect within government and electoral politics and things. So at election time, it's a very bad time for me, because I'm like, I don't want to listen to this, I don't want to deal with it, but my brain gets drawn in because I have to see it and I have to pull it apart. So I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a political songwriter per se. I'm not like a Phil Oakes who's going to take a topical song and stretch it to its limit. But I can look at an event that's going on, see how it works, and then do my best as a songwriter to explain how that is in terms of everyday life. And that's what I think is important, is writing songs in a way that someone who isn't a political science major, or who doesn't follow, or isn't XYZ, can be like, yeah, I get that. And then they can look at something maybe they don't understand and be like, that's the same thing. Whether I'm achieving that successfully or not, that might be another story, but that's always my goal,
So how many records in are you at this point?
So I've put out, under my own name, I've put out 4 albums. I also was on, I did an album with a rockabilly band called the Smoking Guns. We did that and put that out 4 years ago. And then I played in a band called Righteous Buck and the Skull Scorchers, and contributed a song on that, and also did backing vocals and guitar parts. So, 4 under my name, and then 2 extras outside of that. And it's always a learning process, and I feel like I'm getting better every time, but every time it just gets more and more complicated. Recording isn't easy, kids.
Well, I would say that recording is probably the hardest part of the process, not because of the of anything more than it's hard to make all those decisions. Everything's a decision. At least that's the way it is for me. Mm-hmm. Do you go into a studio? What's your process when you're recording? Do you do you go in and just have a band together and play it live? Do you try to track things individually? Is it a mixture of those things? So
my first solo record, American Ryman, I just set up in the engineer's living room, and he put 20 mics on me. It was like some sort of science fiction movie. And I just sat there completely still, and we borrowed a friend's J50, and he's like, okay, now play the song, and I'd play it, and I go, what do you think about that? And he'd say, that was cool, which means that sucked, do it again. And we did a bunch of takes until I felt comfortable, and that was that process.
So it was just completely acoustic,
just no click track or anything, just me with an acoustic guitar. And then for the next couple albums, I had the band. And so we were all working day jobs, and it was like, well, let's maximize our time and try to be efficient. Don't try to be efficient in the studio. You made a noise like, you got to be efficient. Well, you should, but don't make efficiency your priority. In that, what we did is we booked one day, a 12-hour, 10-hour, 12-hour session, and we'd hammer 11 tunes, get all the bass tracks, do it all live. And then I'd go back piecemeal and re-record the vocals and record guitar parts and piano parts, kind of working backwards. But it was because we didn't know exactly what we were doing, and we all had jobs. So it was you can't just take a month off and go in the studio and but for the last album that we did, Restless Disposition, I had left my time as a corporate desk jockey to do music full time, so my schedule was wide open. This was built into my time. So I booked a week, and then a week off, and then a week back in. The first week we did 2 or 3 songs a day for a 12-song album. And then, we get the basic parts down. I would sing maybe 1 song or 2 songs a day. And then, we'd listen to it all. And then the second week, we'd go back in and fine-tune everything. And then there were a couple sessions after that. They're like, well, this is weird, or this came out weird, or we want to add this. So it was a little more focused and deliberate. We gave ourselves more time to just sit down and do it right, instead of get as much done as we can in one day and then try to just figure it out as we went along. So it's been a learning process, but if it's up to me, I'd like to just spend at least 3 days in the studio at a time to make the song sound right.
Oh, that makes good sense. So what's coming up next? What's the big thing you're doing? I know that you've located out to Virginia.
Yeah.
And you're touring around. and you're here in Indy today.
Right. So I've got some shows out there. Richmond's a very cool town. There's a lot of places to play. So I'm going to be playing at a place called Emilio's on the 12th, at the Tin Pan on the 17th, and then we have one of the biggest shows in Columbus is the Johnny Cash tribute show.
Columbus, Ohio, right?
Columbus, Ohio. That's correct. And that's February 23rd, I believe, last Saturday of the month, and it's 7-8 bands, and we all get together and play Johnny Cash songs. There's no repeats. Everybody kind of does their own take. Some people take a more traditional route, but that's a super cool event and one of my favorite gigs to play.
Well, that's killer.
Yeah, and of course on my website it has all my updated schedule and things like that.
And we'll make sure that your website's in the show notes,
Very good.
so people can just link to it.
Cool.
And but it's been great having you, and I want to hear some tunes. You're going to play
Thanks.
3 songs for us today.
That's right. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, let's get to it, man.
Cool.
We'll be back in just a minute with Matt Monta live here on Moonshine and Music. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, man. Thank you. All right, so this is the lead-off track of our newest album, Restless Disposition, and it's a song called Slow Summer Rising. When the day is heavy and I'm feeling the pounds and the sun sets slow as the road darkens down, tell me the things that I wanna hear, 'cause I need to believe it. But you look at me with your sad departed eyes, and you give me a smile and a half-hearted sigh, saying, honey, you'll never get your piece of the pie. Well, I don't believe it. And it's a slow summer rising, filling my eyes. It's a slow summer rising, filling my eyes. It's a slow summer rising on the horizon, slow summer rising. It's pitch dark now, turn the headlights on. I never knew this highway could be so long. With you next to me in the summer wind, well, I don't wanna feel it. And every man has his price, and we're always for sale. And we're nursing the wounds underneath where we feel. We are constructing our own little personal selves, 'cause we don't have the courage to question ourselves. And I'm not a born sinner, but you can't even tell. You just don't wanna see it. And it's a slow summer rising, filling my eyes. It's a slow summer rising, filling my eyes. It's a slow summer rising on the horizon, slow summer rising. Thank you. So I appreciate everyone being here today. Thanks. And there are a lot of times when you're playing gigs and going out and doing stuff where you don't get a crowd as healthy and as enthusiastic as this one. And you're gonna turn on me at any minute, I know. But that's, you know, sort of what this song touches on, about those moments where there's still beauty in the stillness and emptiness of a room. And that's what it's called. It's magic in an empty room. She's not worried that you can't afford her, or about the wires buzzing with orders, or when the truck's kicking dust on the border. She's just scared that she might die alone. She's not looking for someone to hold her, or to repeat anything that I've told her. She'll keep quiet and keep getting bolder, till the love whispers are lost in the stones. Now the eagle's standing guard, it turns sideways, perched on the arches by the highway, watching the sunrise across the scenic byway. But I know that morning didn't come here for me, and so you never thought that asking why paid till you were tired of doing things my way. And I've never seen you cry, babe, so I don't expect a tear for me. Believed in, or just shadows you take relief in, cold-blooded murders and attempts to get even, with a heart you can't know too soon. It feels good when the speakers are blaring, with hot red lights burning and glaring. It feels good to know there's caring, but there's magic in an empty room. Yeah, there's magic in an empty room. But there's magic, yeah, in an empty room. Thanks. Thank you. All right. I'm gonna do my third one here, and this is one of my favorite songs to play. And there's a lot of people out right now there in the world, and there always has been, and there always will be, that are going to profit in some way, either financially or with power, off of your fear. And it's tough to wake up some days. I mean, it's facing what is going on out there right now.
is tough. I don't enjoy it, but it's something we got to do. We got to stand up to our fears and do what's right. And that's what this song is all about, and it's called I Won't Be Scared. Well, there's echoes in the hallways from footsteps of the past, of cowboys clicking over stones thrown through glass, of the windows of integrity and the windows of heart. It's time to pull back together what's been pulled all apart. And I won't be scared, I won't be scared, I won't be scared, I won't be scared. No, not this time, I won't be scared. So the pyramids are crumbling under the weight of their lies, like 1,000 bombs falling in the dead of the night. Some may fall to their knees while others may weep, and some may have secrets too sacred to keep. And I won't be scared, I won't be scared, I won't be scared, I won't be scared. No, not this time, I won't be scared. Well, the ghosts of our fathers have been buried in the dust of 2 towers of misfortune and a powder keg of trust. Oh, Naki will sink deep in the cold tomb of the sea. Yeah, the last chains will be broken and we'll finally be free. And I won't be scared, I won't be scared, I won't be scared, I won't be scared. No, not this time, I won't be scared, I won't be scared, I won't be scared, and I won't be scared, I won't be scared, I won't be scared, I won't be scared. No, not this time, I won't be scared. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Moonshine and Music is a presentation of Notlehs Entertainment. Copyright 2018, all rights reserved. Our producer for today's show was Joe Shelton. Our cameraman, grip, and stunt double was Brent Lee Smith. And also helping out on cameras, setup, and all sorts of other things, Bailey Shelton. Thank you for joining us, and join us next week on Sunday for Moonshine and Music.